Hey, Rooted Wings community and Freedom Revival family. We are so excited to be doing another Candidate Connect Live for Freedom Revival. I am going to be joined by my co-host and friend, Sean Frederickson, and we are going to be bringing another fantastic candidate who's going to be on your ballots for you to get to know. So I am going to bring Sean in, and then we are going to talk to you just a little bit about what we're doing with Freedom Revival and ways you can get involved. And then we will bring Tyler in. Hey, Sean. Perfect timing.
What's up?
Hey, your audio is really clear.
Is it good?
No, your audio had a horrible delay right there, but we're gonna roll with it. It just means I can talk more.
That's
no,
terrible.
It's good now. It's good now.
Okay, good. Well, I'm so excited for
long time
another
no
great
see.
conversation. Yeah, we get to jump on
Yes.
again, have another great conversation with the candidate, and break down why we got to get involved as Americans, what it means to be an American, and
Yes.
educate some folks. Do you want to?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So for those of you who weren't here for the past half hour, your face. Hey, we're professional here. We're real life Americans. Okay, we have families, and we're doing this because, gosh dang it, it matters. So I'm all for
That's
kids
right.
in the background.
Come on.
But for those of you who missed it, Sean and I just had a great conversation with David Chittick, who is running for Congress, and he's amazing. So if you missed it, head over to Freedom Revival events, and the handle's up at the top after this live, and you can go check out that interview. He's amazing. But before we get into our next candidate, who is Tyler, why don't we just break down a little bit about what we're doing with Freedom Revival, and then ways people can follow along and really get involved as our primaries and midterms near.
Come on, I love that. All right, so for those of you that don't know, Freedom Revival is a ministry redefining the boundaries of church, culture, and politics. We're trying to reestablish this understanding that government is intended to be led by moral individuals. So we're trying to educate, empower, and compel people to get back engaged in this system. And so for us, we had our first event in January of 2008 this year, where we had about 10,000, 12,000, we don't know, a large number of folks came out with enthusiasm recognizing this responsibility. And so from that point, Freedom Revival has really been focusing around small events, getting to know some candidates, which is where the Candidate Connect was kind of birthed. So if you want to go and elaborate on what the Candidate Connect is, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm just inviting Tyler on right now.
Okay. You having a problem?
So the Candidate Connects are essentially a way for you to have like living room conversations with people who are going to be on your ballot, because we feel strongly that now is the time for, hey, Tyler, you just popped in there so fast. I thought it was going to be a delay. You didn't give me much time.
Oh, sorry about that.
Hey, Tyler.
I'm so happy to have you. But basically what we're doing is we are bringing candidates to you who we think are valuable and who are going to get in and rock the boat, which is something that as Freedom Revival, we are very passionate about bringing good men and women into positions of leadership who are going to protect our rights and stand for the people and not play lapdogs to the drunk state. So that's essentially what we're doing here. Is it's a real easy way for you to get to know them. So if you like what we're doing, share this video now. There's that little arrow down at the bottom. You can share it with a bunch of people, tell them to watch in. And it doesn't matter if you are in Tyler's district, because putting these people into elected offices, their vote counts throughout California. So it's really important that you know who is vying for these seats. And if you like them, start sharing about them, share their name. And that's what we're hoping to do, is to introduce you to these kind of grassroots candidates who we think have a really good chance given the climate and people being fed up with the way things are. So that's what we're doing. So with no further ado, was there anything else you wanted to add, Sean, before we jump in with Tyler?
Oh, you did such a great job. That was wonderful. We truly
good.
believe that we have an opportunity to take back Southern California. We see
Yes.
the corrupt leaders, and now it's time to get citizens activated, and Tyler is one of those citizens. So let's go. Tyler, how are you?
Man, I'm good, man. It's so good to see you guys. Britt, it's been since a couple weeks, but great to see you again. And you guys are awesome. I'm really grateful to be on here.
So for
It's
those
so good to see you too, Tyler.
those that don't know, Tyler came out to our first event, the Candidate Connect. Am I super delayed or what? Is it bad?
No, you weren't there. You weren't there.
Okay,
I just made that face because
okay.
No, you're good.
So Tyler came out to our first Candidate Connect event where we grilled him, asked some really hard questions, got to know him, and we're so excited to bring him on here. He is running for the 52nd district for the U.S. House of Representatives, the congressional seat. And Tyler, if you could just tell us a little bit about that 52nd district and why it's significant.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's significant for many reasons, but first and foremost, it is a border district. So it sits right upon the Mexico-U.S. divide. And so right there we see playing out in our district everything that's hot to talk about in regards to immigration and some of the reform that we need to have happen there. And so I'm grateful that the 52nd district is largely Latino. And, we as Americans are indebted to the Latino community for so many reasons that, for one, from an economic standpoint, I mean, for us to be able to even continue to compete against China, so we depend upon these hardworking, industrious people to be able to fulfill many jobs and to help spur our economy on. And so that's for one. But two, it's like, what's ever present in the minds of the great people in the 52nd district is just some.
Did we lose him, Sean?
Oh, yep, we did.
Tyler, we can't hear you if you're still talking.
Oh,
he's preaching.
Talking.
He's preaching something fierce, but we can't hear a word of it.
Talking. Oh no.
Oh no.
Does he? He can't see us.
No.
Tyler.
No, he thinks we are so excited about what he is saying. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
No, see, he's going to town. Oh, this is not
good. Does he know we're signing the signs?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. So, we might have to do a great reset right here because I can't hear a word the brother is saying. So, what do you think? Should we just do a quick great reset on this?
Dude, I feel like he's talking about something so amazing.
It's so good.
He's in it, dude. He knows.
He just won our votes and we don't even know what he said.
All right, let's call him, dude.
Okay.
I guess, let's. All right, so we're going to get headphones on him. So we'll just get headphones on.
Yeah, you know what? I'm because he's not picking up on the visuals. Everybody who's watching, stay right here. Yeah. We're going to come right back with Tyler, but I'm going to jump out and have him reset. Oh, wait.
He knows.
Wait. Tyler.
You were muted.
We didn't hear a word you said for the last 2 minutes. So we're
wow.
good.
That is a bummer.
That
was my best time.
We saw you. You were in it. You were in it, and we didn't hear a word. And we didn't hear a word.
Guys either. So my phone.
Okay. Sad situation. So, okay, let's just jump right back to where you were. Well, you were talking about your district.
Okay. What I had so eloquently said before, and I'll try to do good.
Oh, it's so good.
Is the 52nd district, because it is a border district, is what we see playing out there is all of the issues surrounding immigration that's so hot to talk about nowadays, right? And so what we're experiencing in the 52nd district is there's such a glut from the policies of the Democrats that have encouraged illegal immigration that what that's done is regrettably it's shoved aside those who are trying to seek legal citizenship and naturalization, such that it disincentivizes anybody who wants to do it properly and right, and so has encouraged just this glut of people coming over illegally and crowding the systems, overrunning our courts, and therefore also competing for the very jobs that these people are coming over here to take on for a better life. And then finally, and probably most egregiously, is that what we don't understand is that this porous border has created a cesspool of crime and drug and sex trafficking, where even the youth are being shuttled across by coyotes and being ushered directly into trafficking for illicit sex. And so we're seeing a rise in crime, a rise in the drug trafficking that's coming across the borders and the fentanyl problems. Direct result of these failed policies of the Democrats, who really actually want this illegal immigration to the detriment of those who are actually trying to come here honestly and with integrity.
Hey, Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? What's your background and what got you into to the run?
That's a great question. I am a minister and pastor. I'm also a small business owner. I'm a husband. And I'm a father of three beautiful girls. And as of about 2 months ago, I had no political ambitions whatsoever. But as a man of God, I have just continued to see just this Democrat Party run roughshod across our culture and society, seeking to essentially destroy everything that made this country so great that I believe was built upon the foundations found out of the Bible. And so I knew just in my heart and my spirit that I could no longer stand idly by on this. And so working in a process of trying to get and encourage people to run for different offices and make sure we're putting good, honest, God-fearing people into different positions, discovered that the 52nd district had no Republican running against the incumbent Democrat. And at a crucial time when I see happening across this nation is there is a red wave occurring, and in particular in these border towns who have experienced firsthand the failed policies of the Democrat in regard to immigration, but in addition, just the damage that the Democratic policies and cultural normatives that they're doing to the family, to our kids in schools, right? I mean, the overreach is astounding to me, where we have a government that from the Democrats who think that they have the sole right to decide what goes in our children's brains and what goes in their veins. And to me, this is just utterly unacceptable. And so I saw a time in which I could no longer stand idly by and continue as normal. And so I saw that this seat was running unopposed, and I just couldn't stand to think about the great 52nd district not having an option to even vote for somebody who better represents their more foundational or fundamental values. And so I jumped in, not wanting necessarily to be in politics, but knowing that I had to, and then feeling a call from God.
Come on. Well, let's break down that district a little bit for all those people that are in that district so they can get to know who you are. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, a little bit of downtown, and then like you mentioned that southern border. What is that? Bonita, like Sierra Bonita, and San Diego, right?
Yep, and then San Ysidro, right? And
San Ysidro.
So yeah, that pretty encompasses.
So let's talk about the incumbent. Juan Vargas is the Democrat that you had mentioned. Why would people need to know about Juan Vargas? What has he done wrong? He's probably a name that nobody knows. So why would we want to vote him out?
So what Sean's saying, because his audio is acting up a little bit, but we just want to hear you talk about Juan Vargas, because he is sitting in the seat that you're going after. He's been there for a really long time. He's been there since 2012. And why not many people, I think before COVID, there was kind of this like lullaby. We all were just asleep at the wheel, just thinking it's the same old same, which is why a lot of these people have been sitting for a long time. But tell us about this guy who's holding this seat currently and why we need to get him out and get you in.
Totally.
I mean, the answer is quite simple. I mean, he is tried and true establishment Democrat, and he just votes in lockstep with the Pelosiites and all the other Democrats that are actually putting forward all of this legislation and these laws that are truly damaging our country. And so really, he is tried and true blue. And we just see these policies as utterly failing, and they're hurting the people of the 52nd district. And so, mostly that's what I would just say is that, he has helped to perpetuate what I see as the Democrats' slaughter of just family values, of our educational system, of the economy. I mean, there's runaway inflation, our lack of energy independence at a crucial time that we need that for both for economic reasons, but also for national security reasons. And then above all, I mean, we see the indiscriminate and barbaric slaughter of our unborn sons and daughters at the hands of these bloodthirsty Democrats who truly believe that there's out of just for the sake of convenience, that we should be able to commit just this grotesque genocide of the unborn.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was looking into Juan Vargas and his comments that he's made and his voting history. And I mean, there's a lot that goes back to 2015, specifically with abortion. He has recently as 2017, he has made motions for banning anti-abortion limitations on abortion services. He wants access to safe, legal abortions without restrictions, funding abortion that discriminates against poor women, constitutional right back in 2015 to terminate pregnancy for health. So this guy is in love with the slaughtering of the unborn and pushing that further and further. And as we know that Dobbs is, for those of you following along with the Supreme Court, we're going to be seeing most likely Roe v. Wade overturned in the coming months. This is going to be huge going into who we're putting into these seats at midterm, because there's so much on the table right now when it comes to the unborn in our country. So we know that Juan Vargas is for all of that. What, how strong are you when it comes to the unborn? Where does life begin, and what's your position on that?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that question, Britt, because one is I stand firmly on the sanctity of life. And I believe that human life begins at conception. And I am absolutely opposed to any forms of abortion whatsoever, except in the case that it maybe saves one life. So if let's say both lives are in jeopardy and abortion can save a life, that's the only time I support it, because I am indeed fundamentally pro-life. And so, I'll support if it saves a life, but otherwise I don't. And, what you said is so crucial, because, right, we're on the midst or on the edge of potentially overturning this grotesque law, or this ruling from the courts of Roe v. Wade. But that's not just enough. I'm not going to Washington just to see Roe v. Wade get overturned, because then that just leaves it open for states to be able to decide. And I don't believe that fundamentally any of the states should have any right to be able to decide, because this is a violation of the right to pursue life for an innocent child. And so really, we have a constitutional mandate to insist that abortion be outlawed across our land. And so I'm going to Washington to propose such legislation and make sure that this grotesque and barbaric enterprise ends.
Yeah, I love that you're going on the offensive, that you're not just like in the passenger seat with this.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, another unconstitutional issue that we ran into were these lockdowns. What is your stance on government-imposed lockdowns?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky topic, but, we see what we saw here in the COVID epic was essentially a drastic government overreach, right? And that the government found in themselves the unlawful right to be able to insist on these shutdowns and impose upon us a tyranny that was never supposed to be supported from a government. So, I think those decisions should be made at a far more local level. I can conceive of such a thing, of such a radical virus or some kind of pandemic that does indeed maybe justify something on a local level, but I think the local people should be able to make that decision. And I most certainly don't think that COVID was one of those justifications. With the survival rate that it had, there was no reason that the government should have shut us down like they did and hurt businesses like they did, and also create just the havoc as far as depression and the problems that we ran into, a society that was utterly shut down during that time. And so, yeah, in this case,
well, let's break down just for the audience to clarify how local are you discussing with the lockdowns? You'd mentioned that you might be, if there was some terrible situation that took place far beyond what we experienced at a local level. Can you define what the local level is?
Yeah, I mean, local should be extremely local. And in fact, really, and I say that almost even reluctantly, because it's hard to conceive of a time in which the government should in fact be involved in that. What the government should be doing is providing good and thoughtful information so that an informed public can make this decision, right? And so if if good people in let's say in a town decide that, hey, really we want to try to limit interaction, well, that's for the individuals to make that decision, and if others are going to choose to maybe not do so, I'm much more.
Uh-oh.
No. Oh, no, we can't hear you. Okay, he's got it. He's
Yeah,
got it.
he's got a phone call.
You got
It's
it.
a phone call.
He's got it.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that was.
We got you.
Yeah, I might need to fix this thing or plug it in or something. That might be the problem.
You're good.
All right. So, well, I guess the big concern is we're observing Shanghai, China 2.0, and we're realizing we've got to do something immediately to preserve our liberty. And when anybody says that they're okay with a lockdown, I think we all get to this point of like, wait, you're okay with a lockdown? Because we just experienced such chaos and nobody wants to go back to it.
Yeah. And it's I am fundamentally opposed to the lockdowns. Like I just said that because I do think that there has to be some room where we nuance it, where if Ebola was coming down and we wanted to just protect people who were maybe unaware of it, but I mean, it's like, again, that would be in the most extreme cases. So really, and I reiterate that I would have a hard time imagining an instance in which we could ever justify a lockdown. I just don't want to necessarily entirely rule it out. If there was if there was a disease that had 100% kill rate, right, and 100% contagion rate.
Okay, so let me interrupt and ask you a question, because I'm going to challenge you on this.
Okay. Yeah.
If we have seen massive manipulation with data.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started following this back when Italy was shut down, so that's how my platform grew, because I am a data analyst. So I'm watching the data come in and I am seeing that the data isn't lining up with the narrative. And so something felt off. So I started speaking anti-narrative, and I'm getting censored, I'm getting deplatformed, and this has been 2 years for me. So I think that there is a true concern that with the aggressive censorship, the government can get away with saying anything. And we've seen that, right? They can say that something's a high threat and then justify it because they said so. So whatever it is that they're mandating, whether it's federal injection mandates or your kids can't go to school or they have to get a shot to go to school, all of those things, because they can say, well, there's the boogeyman and it's so scary. So my pushback would be, if there truly was something that was coming at us that had a high kill rate, then don't you think that individuals are smart enough to know for themselves, hey, I'm going to keep my kids at home. I'm going to shut my church down. Do you really think it's the government's job to tell free people that they have to shut down because the government is telling you something scary is around the corner? And that's a challenge. I know I'm putting you in the hot spot, but I just want to challenge you.
It's a real question.
On that. No. And I think it's a fair question. And I think what you're getting at is at the heart of the issue here is that we have absolute corruption and manipulation happening on a government level to institute just rough rod tyranny. And that's why there's such increasing suspicions. And so you're right to have these said. That's what I'm saying. It's like I can't imagine an instance in which we could truly justify a government imposed, right? So when I say the local level, I'm not actually even talking about government. I'm saying free people can decide as a community, how they're going to basically interact with that, right? And so, and with property rights and so forth, right? Like if, let's say, I want to sequester my family from the community, I can do so and make sure that others don't come on my property, right? That's my property rights. That's what I more mean. I am heavily reticent to affirm that the government should have any say in any kind of a lockdown. I meant that more of a personal, freedom-loving people making these decisions out of being informed, right?
Gotcha.
And the big problem is, again, the manipulation and the lies and the deceit that has gone on for the sake of tyranny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with what I wanted to chat with you about, which is Juan Vargas. He brags about the American Rescue Plan. And for those of you just tuning in, Juan Vargas is sitting in the seat that Tyler is going after. So he brags about how he voted for the American Rescue Plan. And not only that, but his he basically wrote into the American Rescue Plan, like kind of structured it. So when he talked about this, I was reading earlier about just his braggadocious American Rescue Plan has passed, which was a ton of money, and a very small percentage of that actually went to in the name of public health. And then some of it that was supposed to go to schools doesn't even apply until 2028, I think, or 2026. So it's like, it was just a massive spend bill. But Juan Vargas, who's in the seat you're going after, is still bragging about how he voted to pass this rescue plan. And one of the things first sentence he says, I voted to pass the American Rescue Plan, which will put vaccines in arms. And then he keeps going on. I want to know your position on true medical freedom, especially because that is so under assault in California. And we have seen so much of the government encroaching on medical freedom in the name of safety first and rescuing America. What is your position on medical freedom?
I stand firmly that the government has no place in deciding what goes into our brains and what goes into our veins, period. And so, we have a right to be able to be informed about what we're receiving, right? Informed consent. And like I said, that means we should consent. We need to consent. And so without being informed, it's not informed consent. And then it also, again, like I said, needs us to be able to make that decision. And so we as free people should make the decision. We should never allow the government to be able to make any assumptions that they can even make the pretense to make those decisions for us. So I absolutely oppose on any level that the government could ever decide to put anything inside of our bodies, period.
I love it. Well, one of the big things that we've run into with just the idea of what's happened over the past 2 years and observing the government do these things that none of us thought they were capable of doing. And now we have the CDC extending this mask situation, which is absurd. The CDC isn't even, they're not even a level of government, in the sense of they're not in three branches of government. How do we reestablish limits on government?
Oh my gosh, man, that is a big discussion, but it's an important one, right? And we need to fundamentally revamp our government system where, one, we understand the proper limitations of government. I'm sorry, my phone keeps trying to fall over here, so I'm trying to fix it. But first and foremost is like, I'm actually for a radical defunding of the federal government. So we've allowed to bloat the federal government to a level in which it's utterly unsustainable and it's unconstitutional. And the idea that the executive branch can just essentially write legislation through just executive orders needs to cease immediately. None of these laws are really constitutional or appropriate. And so we have to get the executive branch out of the process of legislation, continue to stop the growth and in fact defund it and shut down many of these bureaucracies that are infringing upon our freedoms. So,
all right, let me jump in on that because we're talking about government reform and how you would want to essentially audit and then defund federal. Your opponent, Juan Vargas, who currently is holding the seat for 52, which is what you're going after. For when it comes to government reform, I thought one of the things that stuck out to me was that in June of 2014, he was pushing no photo IDs to vote. And in his own words, it was because, quote, they suppress the vote.
Right.
He also wants to add statehood for the District of Columbia. So it would appear that he is actually the opposite of what you are campaigning for. What are your thoughts on photo IDs to vote? I would love to hear what you think about election integrity and what your position would be if you get in the chair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a lot there, but let's just start with the voter ID. I mean, this whole idea that that it suppresses the vote, because fundamentally behind that, right, is the accusation that our minority classes, right, those people of different skin colors somehow are too incompetent to be able to find for themselves a DMV and obtain a simple legal identification. I mean, they claim that voter ID is racist, but I truly do not believe I've heard anything more blatantly racist than the accusation that our minority friends cannot actually get themselves an ID. And I believe that we're essentially the only nation in the entire globe who does not support the idea of voter ID laws to ensure the integrity of our elections. And so, for 100%, we need voter IDs for one. And then you asked the question about election integrity. I mean, this is a true problem in our day. We have seen absolutely disingenuous elections happen. There's so much manipulation that is going on. Many laws are violating. And we know for a fact that the Democrat Party is abusing the system in their lust and power quest. And so not abiding by the laws, they have undermined a lot of the election integrity. And so this is a fundamentally crucial action, because most importantly, it's like the disenfranchisement that's happened to the right wing because of the understanding of the manipulation that is going on, that has been denied by the left, that is but is undeniable, is something that we need to fix. And so now on that, I mean, there's so many things that we need to do in order to fix election integrity, and I don't know if we have time to go into all of that. But
sure, there's a lot for sure.
Yeah, I would love to encourage those that are watching and listening that first and foremost is you have to show up to the polls to vote. Please do not mail in your ballot, right? Despite what many of the people are saying, this is one of the greatest domains for election fraud is the mail-in ballots. And so I'm actually going to go to Washington as well to fight the universal mail-in ballots, and that only those who are genuinely absentee, as it was intended to be from the beginning, should be able to vote by mail. Otherwise, you should vote at your polls on the day of the election, as it was intended to be, so that we can help better protect the integrity.
So just real quick, let's talk about the polls since you bring it up. The mail-in ballots will be arriving in mailboxes around May 10th, May 15th, somewhere in that window as they start getting sent out. Now, this election cycle is going to be different than previous election cycles, where you would have volunteers that are working at the polls. This year in San Diego County, there's been a change because of the corrupt leaders in our county, the Nathan Fletcher, Nora Vargas, and Reamer. So they ended up changing the policy for what it means to work the polls, where you're no longer a volunteer, but you're now an employee, a temporary employee. So that means you have to apply to work for the county temporarily. Well, I'm saying this because we need patriots to get involved. We need Americans to get involved. We need free people to get involved in the system to ensure our election integrity is solidified. And so what I'm saying is May 28th is when the polls will open. May 28th they open, and they will be open until June 8th, which means that whole window they need employees to work at the polls. It's a full commitment. If you have the ability, I would love for you to go online to SD Vote, and I would love for you to sign up to work the polls to ensure that our elections are solidified.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm seeing a few questions on this, but for those of you who are wondering, is the injection required? Because it was in San Diego County, which is completely illegal, and it's just typical. They're going to push the envelope as much as they can until people say no. So say no. But they did reverse that decision as of the 5th of this month. So get that application in now. And really, my biggest push right now is if you're complaining that the system's rigged, then do something about it. Jump in, volunteer. There are so many spots. I've worked as a poll inspector for years ago. I worked year after year when the votes, not year after year, but cycle after cycle. And I just applied to work again. There are technical inspectors, there are precinct inspector positions, there are poll worker inspection or poll worker positions available. And then also when they accept your application, you can ask them to actually be on the counting floor, which means you will be overseeing the actual counts that happen during the primaries and then again during the general. So if you're complaining, do something about it, jump in there. And if you're going to sit here and say like it doesn't matter, then I don't know what to tell you. Like there's a boat to sell you and you find an island, because there's corruption everywhere. We have to do the best we can. And I think that the lazy excuse of it's rigged is a big part of why we're here. So get involved, jump in, volunteer. I highly encourage you to do that.
Yes, that's so good, especially because there is the primary that is coming up in June on the 7th, and then you have the general in November. So there's two separate elections that we need people to volunteer and work. And let's jump into that real quick, Tyler. Is you have three candidates that are going to be on the primary. Who are the other two, or who's the other one? Because we've been talking about Juan. So do you know anything about your other opponent, Joaquin Vasquez? Joaquin Vasquez?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Joaquin Vasquez is he's a bit of a dark horse, but he's also even to the left of Juan Vargas. So he is
Oh, wow.
uber progressive and yeah, and
Okay, so
an even greater threat to our freedoms. But you
okay.
know,
So he may be just a full-blown socialist Marxist off the map. Well, because I bring that up because realistically, June 7th is the semifinals. You know,
right.
two candidates are going to get through the semifinals to make it through to the final match on November, and we've got to make sure voters turn out for June 7th and begin to vote for those candidates, which we know are solidified that are going to support the republic for what it is.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And we've got I think a definitive and concrete plan to be able to make our way, or make it through the primary, right. Cause we've got the two Democrats who are splitting the votes in the district. And so, like you said, is our job right now is really just to get the evangelical and conservative communities out and vote. And so we have a highly effective, low cost touch point type marketing strategy that allows us to reach the inboxes of the people of the 52nd district for the low cost of 1.2 cents per touch. So that means that for $120, we can reach 10,000 people in the district. And
Beautiful.
so, we're stretching the dollar mightily in this deal and getting us at least across that first hurdle. And then we've got what I believe is just a radical solution for educating the people of the 52nd district on why their fundamental values far better align with the conservative movement and therefore the Republican Party. And so we're getting that message out and using an army of people. And we can use all the great people on this chat to even join our team and help us out.
Awesome. Well, before I have you give us your final elevator pitch and tell people how they can follow along and volunteer with you, I really just want to make it clear for those who are jumping on that when it comes to District 52, you're looking at two Democrats and you're looking at Tyler, who's a Republican. And I see the comments. I know people want to get, your panties in a bundle about Democrat Republican labels. But the reality is that if you look at the issues that Juan Vargas stands for, who has held this seat since 2012, it's sobering because it does line up with the Democrat values. If you want to go to ontheissues.org, you can plug in Juan Vargas's name and you can see how he has consistently voted, the things that he has said. It pins him at left liberal. He is not moderate. So this is someone who's going to be advancing progressive values, hell-bent against traditional values. And the reality is that Tyler is coming in against that, and he is saying, I'm actually for traditional values, and I'm for limited government, and for restoring the republic. So I just want to really hone that in, because you're going to see Tyler's name on your ballot, and I want you to remember that you're looking at large government with Juan Vargas and a very progressive ideology, and then you're looking at limited government and pro-individual freedoms with Tyler. So with that, Tyler, can you, unless Sean has any other questions, I would love for you to close us out with why people need to vote for you and then how they can follow along and support you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So did you say, I'm sorry, how they could vote for me? Or did I miss that?
Sorry, how they can support you.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think that was cutting out. Again, the technology. Well, first, I'd ask everyone to visit our website at tyler4congress.com. So Tyler, the number 4, congress.com. That's the way you can also sign up there, give us your contact information and get connected with the campaign. That's first. And then second, I should say, please be praying for us, because as a minister and pastor, I believe that indeed prayer moves mountains, and we are moving a mountain in this case, right? This is an incumbent Democrat who's got a pretty solid seat, but this is a unique time where I believe that we can incite a revival amongst the great people of the 52nd district to help them, again, like I said, educate them on the fundamental differences, and that that essentially the Conservative Party does better align with their primary value system. And so we're getting the message out with that. And then, thirdly, really, we can't do this without money. And so we would really appreciate any financial support that you guys can give us, which you can donate online at our website. And like I said, we're stretching the dollar mightily in our campaign. I think our campaign is probably the best investment for campaign money, because one, we are working to turn a seat from blue to red, right? So, and if we're successful in that, right, that can make a huge difference at this critical time, as we talked about earlier in our talk. But two is that we're able to use a unique digital marketing strategy that gets our message of hope and values and freedom to more and more people for very, very low cost. And so, again, we're using the money as wisely as we can, and we truly think that without having to raise millions, we can actually turn this seat over. So we're real excited about that.
I love it. I'm so excited that you're running. I love that you are a citizen who felt the call. You're getting activated. You are a David fighting a Goliath, and we fully support that. You love the Lord. You love Christian moral values. You love this idea of the constitutional republic, people's responsibility in preserving it. That alone gets me excited. And so you have our support in getting you elected and taking down this giant of Juan Vargas. And we believe that it's going to be an exciting process too, because we're going to shock California. We're getting involved, and great things are going to happen. So thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. Britt, you have anything else you'd like to say?
I do. Just Tyler, can you tell me your website one more time?
Yeah, it's tyler4congress.com.
Okay, tyler4congress.com.
Yeah.
And then for anyone who wants to follow you on, your website is beautiful. For anyone who wants to follow you on social media, can you drop your handles? What are the handles to follow on Twitter, Instagram, all the things?
Yeah. So I have the unique and lucky distinction of being the single only Tyler Geffeney in the entire world. So if you find Tyler Geffeney on Facebook, you could find Tyler Geffeney on Twitter, and you find Tyler Geffeney on Instagram. I'm on all three of those, and it's easy. There is no other Tyler Geffeney out there, and
okay,
so you can't make a mistake.
One last thing, I am going to throw in one last tidbit because I just went to your website. And I just want to leave people with what he stands for, because this is so beautiful on your website. It's so easy to see. You say what I stand for: education, safe legal immigration, right to life, family, freedom and liberty, economic opportunity, housing, upholding the constitutional protections, and faith in God. So if you are for those values and you want to see someone who is for those values in the seat of someone who is very much against those values and very much for a progressive, hell-bent ideology, then I would highly encourage you to get involved with this campaign with Tyler, because he is up against a very large lapdog of the state. So we need to be actively engaged with people like Tyler if we want to flip tables and see a change in our state and our counties and our nation. So that is my final pitch. And I would just want to thank you, Tyler, for sitting down and even dealing with the technical difficulties that we had, and for sharing your heart and your vision.
Yeah, my pleasure. No, this is a huge blessing. You guys are amazing. Love what you guys are doing. And so keep up the great work, and just truly thank you guys.
Oh, bro, thank you. Thanks for having the courage to run. It's amazing. We support you. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll keep it up.
All right.
Keep your prayers for us, you guys.
Yes, we will. And we'll see you again soon.
All right. God bless.
All right. Bye, Tyler.
All right, bro.